folks, at this point, if you're on Odyssey, you obviously know what's going on, and if you're on LOOTUBE, you might be forced to know what's going on. LOOTUBE is apparently making it to where ads are forced in videos, like not just at the beginning where ad blocker gets rid of it, or if it's over 8 minutes in the middle, then ad blocker gets rid of that. I've used ad block in some form for probably going on 20 years at this point. Apparently now they're actually embedding ads into individual videos, which I'm not 100% sure really how that works, but apparently that's what they're doing. I linked in the description if you're watching this on LOOTUBE about Odyssey. I mean, hopefully at this point you know about Odyssey, but if you're completely new to my channel, then maybe not. Just go to that platform. It's better in literally every way. The only quote-unquote advantage that LOOTUBE has over Odyssey at this point is it has more total users. At this point, the only reason LOOTUBE is popular is because it's popular. I've discussed that in other videos. It's not a better platform than quite a few others, and especially Library and Odyssey side of things, in pretty much every way. If you use both, you're gonna prefer Odyssey, even Library, any of that. You're gonna prefer it. Just straightforward. Unless you're someone that's purely there just to try to farm as many views out of people as possible, you're gonna prefer another platform. Straightforward. But speaking to everyone else who's been around the channel, which is pretty much everyone at this point, because I don't really think YouTube's particularly recommending my channel to new people. Like always, if it's individual videos that they can make money off of, then that's what they are. But that's part of it too, is the actual making money off people. Now it seems like they're doing that more than ever as well too. Again, where I've always used ad block, I couldn't really tell. But even like with my videos, from how I understand, even with this video, they could embed ads into this, and the ad blockers, any of them, won't work to get rid of them. From how I understand it, people using Brave browser doesn't work anymore. People using uBlock doesn't work anymore. I use AdGuard on Firefox, and for the moment, it's still working. But I mean, Firefox was kind of the main culprit for a very long time of ads. I mean, that's what my dad used, and I would get his hand-me-down computer with ad block on it anyway, like 15 years ago or so. So, I mean, known about Firefox for a long time, so I'm sure they're definitely looking at a way to kill that too. But the main point of making this video is, I mean, yeah, I'd make the video the rant anyway, but honestly, if it's to the point where LOOTUBE is obviously making money off my channel, and it gets to the way that there's literally no way to stop it, if there's ad blocks out there that defeat it, then cool. And I'm sure it will become well known what ad blocks out there defeat this evil system when it happens, and hopefully it is a win. But if it's to the point where LOOTUBE is quote-unquote won, and there's no way to get rid of forced ads on channels that do not want LOOTUBE to make money off of them, like mine and many, I'd even say the vast majority of other channels out there, then I'm either going to private all the videos or just delete my channel on LOOTUBE. If it forces me to private one video at a time, I'm probably not going to bother doing all that, because the vast majority of important stuff is ported over to Odyssey anyway, and the only quote-unquote important stuff that isn't is like old stuff, like Dirty and Nerd Racing League, which I like seeing that those videos stay around, but not really anyone else watches those videos. If I have to private like every individual video, then not so sure I'm going to go with that, because I have almost 2,000 videos here and well over 2,000 videos on Odyssey, aka more content on Odyssey, so no matter what, go there anyway. And not so sure about that. If it forces me to do it one video at a time, then yeah, I'm probably just going to delete the channel. But Let's see. I mean, again, I'll give it a bit of time before I really do any drastic stuff, but this is just a warning that I'll do it. I'm not gonna have an evil platform make money off me, and there's literally no way to stop it whatsoever. By default, evil platforms make money off us every day because they take data and blah blah blah. I do the best I can to fake the data. Like, I might use the platform a bit, but I'll fake the data. I'll use something not logged in, or for like I was doing with the Microsoft points, and I actually discussed that before. I sort of ended up getting shadow banned from that, so I think they figured out. I would just put in as much fake data as possible to get the Microsoft points, in which you got 14,000. In the good old days, it was 12,000, but even inflation on that, those fucking dumbasses. Anyway, yeah, and I'd get the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate for free. I just put in like fake data and fake answers, surveys, just spam the same button over and over, just spam the same search term and blah blah blah. I've discussed that before. To me, that's the best way of going about it. Is if you don't trust the company, which at this point it's pretty much any big company, at most just give them fake data. I mean, if it gets to the point where you pretty much have to use it, just give fake data. Do everything in your possible to not give actual real data that is important to you to the evil companies. And I mean, obviously, there's awful companies out there too, like TikTok and all that. I mean, it's a whole debate of even if that's to get banned. But I mean, LOOTUBE is definitely among the worst ever, and they're still only getting worse. I mean, like I've discussed before, I legitimately don't know of any other platform on the internet that makes it to where if you are subscribed, followed, whatever, to the point to where you want to see all the videos or content, whatever, from a channel, that you actually have to press a different set of buttons than just the default subscribe, which is what it is on YouTube, or follow for Odyssey, or whatever it may be, depending on the platform, to actually see all of the content. LOOTUBE makes it to where then you have to go to a separate notification thing and then press that too. You have to do 2 different steps to even be able to see all the content on. That's literally the only platform on the entire internet that I know of that forces you to do that, and it's been like that for many years. There is some debate that, there'll be enough pushback to where they're not going to continue this. They're not going to continue forcing ads on videos. They're not going to continue getting money off channels that they don't want it, whatever it may be. But the sad part about it is, while, yeah, there has been some things that we've been able to push back enough to where they got rid of, some things never did. Like I just said, the notification thing, people's been pushing back against that for years and years, and there's stuff to do it. The sowing dislikes on videos, no, they still don't do that. There are extensions and such to do that. I don't really care enough about LOOTUBE to even download those extensions, but from what I can tell, those extensions still work where you can see the dislikes on videos and stuff. I'll link the actual post from Odyssey, which Hallelujah, they actually did a post. They said, like a few months ago, that they were going to release new information in a few weeks, and then a few months later, they're saying they're going to release new information in a few weeks, so we'll see, folks, we'll see. But even in Odyssey's first days, they're still massively better than what LOOTUBE has been the last pretty much 10 years at this point. All in all, I'm getting pretty close to 10th anniversary. I'm like 2 weeks away or something from 9th anniversary of making videos. Which, sadly, I started on YouTube, but back then it was about the only platform which you could actually do a long form video on. There were platforms which you could do shorter videos, and then there's still the early days of Twitch where you could live stream. But actually, back when I started, it was pretty much the only platform where I could actually put a longer video on. Nowadays, there's so many out there, and pretty much all of them are better. If LOOTUBE actually had competition in the 2000s. LOOTUBE would have lost, like any competition, if any of the platforms were around back then. Even the ones I don't particularly like all that much, like Rumble or whatever, they still to beat YouTube if they existed back in like 2007 or something. And that was, again, I even said YouTube back then. YouTube back then was still worse in a lot of ways than Odyssey and such is now in terms of freedom of speech. Like, that's even what they advertised back then is about freedom of speech, and it was still even worse back then. Even at their best of times, they were still worse than some of the platforms at their worst of times in terms of actual freedom of speech. And to the final point of the video is that you might even have to be logged in to even watch this fucking video. Apparently, they're even doing that now. Generally speaking, if I watch stuff on LOOTUBE, it's either going to be when I'm logged into this account and I'm using ad block and stuff like that of the people that still haven't seemed to have figured out to go to other platforms, which is downright annoying. I wish they would have figured that out by now because I haven't really subscribed to many new channels I see years, so aka channels that I've watched have many, many years to figure that out. But, yeah. To be honest, I was actually even going to start a creator and livery, which the livery doesn't really have to do with this. I still might do that in its full form anyway, the livery part. Showcase, but in terms for the creator showcase, bringing that back after a few years. I've done iterations of that throughout all time. And even from the very first creator showcase I did, I mentioned I don't particularly like LOOTUBE all that much, but for people that can get enjoyment out of it, so be it. I actually already recorded a video for that, and I was on the fence of when to upload that because they said a few months ago Odyssey was going to release new information and a big update in a few weeks, and that was a few months ago, so now I probably will go ahead and release that video because, again, they're saying a few weeks again, so I'll release that pretty soon. But again, it always kind of depends on the GT7 weekly races. We'll see on that. This is like a day before we know what they are in advance. So, yeah. Anyway, the point being is that are most likely to happen. But when I recorded that video was before this, it got this awful. And even in that video that I recorded before, I said I don't particularly like LOOTUBE, but if the people that are on it are still getting enjoyment out of it, I'm not going to deter their enjoyment. They would probably enjoy other platforms more, but if they do happen to be enjoying what they are, I'm not the one to try and take that away from them. AKA, I'm still going to promote the smaller channels on whatever site it may be. LOOTUBE, other sites, definitely Odyssey and stuff once the update happens, but they should all definitely be on the better sites. And, I mean, any site, I don't necessarily want to fail, especially the American ones. It's a loss of jobs, it's a loss of economy, all that sort of stuff. But if there ever were to be an American company and I want to fail, it would be Google, and especially the LOOTUBE side of it. The Google search doesn't work anymore because the AI they have is absolute shit. It's telling people to eat deadly mushrooms, and I'm sure y'all have heard about that by now. It's Google search is worse than it's ever been, and it's gotten a lot worse over the last few years because they've monetized it, making it to where it's only the sponsored shit up at the top. I mean, granted, there's tons of ways around that too, like advanced searches or whatever it may be, or just common sense a lot of the times. And a lot of times you can tell just by common sense what's an ad or not, even if it's embedded into the system. But what it's harder to tell is the AI stuff, because we're to the point now where we generally can't tell if it's someone's stupid answer or an AI's stupid answer. We can't really even tell that anymore because that's the point of AI, is it's supposed to mimic humans. And AI can mimic stupid humans perfectly. I'm not saying that AI is smarter than all humans, but it's smarter than stupid humans, so therefore it can mimic stupid humans perfectly. So, yeah. It has so many stupid answers on the internet. Like, there's even proof that just taking some stupid answer that got popular because it was so stupid from Reddit like 11 years ago and made that. And the search stuff, I mean, I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir with that, but yes, all this has a point. The point is that of any and all parts of the internet are getting worse. I mean, there's that dead internet theory that is a fact at this point. There's no theory to that. It's definitely been proven true that AI is taking over to the point where the internet is more controlled by AI than it is by people. But with Odyssey, you don't really have to worry about it. I'm not saying there's no AI that's doing stuff on Odyssey, but I mean, where Odyssey at the time being gives LBC to channels based on views and the amount of content they view and stuff like that, it would hurt the actual platform of Odyssey if they're giving LBC to the bots and the AI and stuff like that, because they're not going to do anything productive with it. I don't even know if the technology would be advanced enough on the AI to figure out how to deposit the LBC, because again, the government was evil with the LBC and made it that much harder. And so who knows if AI can even figure all that out? A lot of people can't even figure that out. It seems like a lot of the exchange servers just can't even figure out to put an LBC back on there, even though it was already said that any secondary exchanges, aka the exchanging services, are not securities. So that's, I mean, we've all been complaining about that for a while. Yeah. All in all, the main reason I'm making this video is this is a warning that if it gets to that point, and I'll say when it gets to that point, I'm not just randomly going to delete my entire YouTube channel into the blue or whatever. I'll probably do that. This is either the last video I'm going to have on LOOTUBE, or I'm going to have a few more no matter what. So tune in to the last few. I'll decide how it goes. Because ultimately, again, I don't want any platforms to fail, and I would prefer to keep the LOOTUBE channel I've had at this point for almost 9 years, because then I can advertise for Library and Odyssey, then I can advertise for getting Gran Turismo in the Paralympics, then maybe I can be hopeful that at some point the site improves. That's obviously the least likely thing to happen. It's more likely that library becomes the prominence than LOOTUBE improving. Again, you can take that as you may, and I've actually made that joke for a while now too, and it's still probably and always and ever will be true. There's even a better chance of library improving it at this point, surviving and thriving and all that. This is not a good look. I'm not going to let a downright evil platform make money off me, and there's no way to stop it. I'm not doing that. Use all the ad blocks you possibly can. Use all of the other platforms you possibly can. Again, I don't really want, especially an American company, to fail, but if there ever was one to do it, it would be LOOTUBE. That's the one that needs it most at this point. They may be arguing, oh, there's so many other important issues of companies that should fail. It's the tech companies running everything. It's the tech companies that decide what people actually view. And if they decide on what people actually view, it decides a lot of stupid people's opinions on what is the right or wrong things to protest about or campaign about, like support or protest, all of the above. About when the tech companies control of what you view, and if you're forced to log in, they're definitely controlling it. It's looking like that's going to happen. And they even control the ads at this point. As far as I understand it, if they're embedding ads into videos, that's even more control on the ads that are being used too. As far as I understand it, even if you download a video, there would be the embedded ad in it, from how I understand it. So, yeah, on the surface, or maybe in short term, there are more important things going on that might be more immediately affecting our lives. But in the long term, when it's the tech companies that control what we view for the most part, unless you just don't view anything on the internet, but if you're not really viewing anything,